Before you even start building, before you even break ground, we're going to talk about the steps that you should take before you go buying a piece of land in the mountains of Colorado. So if you got big dreams of moving from wherever you are and making your way out to the mountains of Colorado, this is the video for you. I'm Sean Murphy, and this is...
I'm Josh O'Shea.
And we are the Mountain Men of Moxie. We're a real estate team. We make videos about living in the foothills, living in the mountains, also living in the city and the suburb. This video in particular is for those who want to find a piece of land to plop a sweet mountain house. A lot of things that go into that, and we're going to hit you with the main points that you need to consider.
So first steps, before you start even looking at land, a lot of people that want to build that make these small mistakes right away. Have you even spoke to an architect or a builder yet? Do you even know what you really want to put on that land, and if you can even put that on the land?
So essentially what you want to do is get a really good idea or get the actual blueprints for what you're looking to construct, and then you start scouring the map for where that property actually is. Find out about the type of home that you are looking for. Then we find the land based on the size of the house. That's going to determine things like well and septic, which we're about to get into. Like, what are you going to use that land for? You get a lot of folks that are looking and they want 7 to 10 acres. It's like, well, what do you want that 7 to 10 acres for? Because if you're like growing crops, or you need a big greenhouse, you need flat land. But if you just want privacy, you could usually get that with under 5 acres, unless they are really looking to have like horses and livestock and things like that. So like at your property over here in the meadows, you guys aren't allowed to have fencing, so horses wouldn't be a thing for you.
We wouldn't want you to go ahead and buy land, especially if you're looking to bring horses or some sort of livestock and you're not even allowed to.
And so a lot of things, just like knowing exactly like what you want to use the land for, how much land, usable land you need, what type of home are you going to put on there, how are you going to get to the home as far as access. When we get all those puzzle pieces together, you start like being a sniper with the type of properties that are actually going to work, and you could be a lot more intentional with looking for that land. When it comes to affordability and looking at properties online, good land in the mountains isn't cheap, especially if you're looking for something that's going to give you, great sun exposure and, a great view. One of the biggest factors that people don't take into account is the topographical map. When you find an address that you like, look at the topographical map to see how much of that land is actually going to be usable. Just because, it says 7 acres, could just mean there's 1 acre down here that you can build your property on, and then 5 acres or 6 acres straight up the side of a hill. So we oftentimes find that we actually exclude a lot of properties for our clients and save them a lot of time just by doing a quick topographical aerial view of the property. This land that we're on today is actually a great example. Close to the road, really marshy, not where you want to build a house, and then it slopes up the hill.
You can only build on 2, actually 3 of the total acres is actually used for buildable lots.
Next thing to consider is going to be that access, because depending on how far you are from the main road, that's going to determine how much leveling of the land to get a driveway up there, as well as things like your utilities. If you want to have electric to that, which most counties will require, there's going to be a fee per pole from the main road to get to your property.
So along with that, the driveway has to get permitted first and then signed off by the county before you're even allowed to break ground. Then you have to establish your utilities. So you're going to have to get septic put into place, well put into place. If you're using natural gas, either tie into the existing pipe if it's there. Otherwise, you're going to use one of those yard bomb propane tanks. And from that point, you might be 6 months along your entire path and you haven't even put a foundation down.
Great points. Let's get into those expenses too with the well and the septic. The size of the tank and the way it's going to be positioned is going to be based on where the house is and the slope of the property. The size of the tank is going to be determined by how big of a house you're going to be needing. So if you have a house with 4 bedrooms, it's going to need a larger tank and have different requirements than something that's just a little like studio cabin and A-frame.
You're going to need water, so you're going to have to establish a well. you're going to have to look and make sure that the parcel of land that you are buying has a well permit allowed to be there. And if you do have the well permit established and you are allowed to drill a well, that is not a cheap cost. You're probably looking about $100 every linear foot to go down.
Yeah, that's a big expense. Well depth can usually be determined based on, you know, other properties in that area. They know like how far that aquifer is, but then there's also limits that the county puts on to how many people can actually tap that aquifer.
Can even tap it.
Privacy is a big thing in the mountains, and you can get privacy in a lot of different ways. You don't need 5+ acres to feel like you're not near your neighbor. Oftentimes the topography, if you're up the hill a little bit and your neighbor is just down slightly, you're going to see right over the rooftop and you're not going to see them. Trees can help a lot with that privacy where you have trees on the property, but that's also an additional cost to have trees cut down for where you want to put the property, and that's not cheap either.
So when you're looking to buy land up here, the fire department's going to make you cut all the trees around that within at least 30 feet of that house location, and they still have to get a truck up there for all the building material, so you might have to clear out a good amount of your trees that you thought were going to be there. So just things to think about when you're trying to build is if you're specifically wanting that beautiful view or being just nestled into like a cove of trees, that's not going to happen if you're moving up to the mountains. You're going to have to clear those out.
Also for like the tiny home nation or the folks that you're like, hey, I'm just gonna pack up the family, sell this property, and we're gonna get a a trailer and we're gonna go live up at this property as our house is built. The county is not gonna allow you to permanently stay on that lot of land without the proper facilities, and that's like your well and your septic. You have to have some type of water and sewage on that in order to stay permanently.
All right, so now that you're feeling a little more ready to actually purchase land, we're just trying to give you those correct steps to go ahead and do. If you don't want to just have a general contractor just take care of the entire process, then you need to at least talk to a home builder to see the styles of homes they're allowed to put on that land. And then you need to talk with an engineer, a structural engineer, to make sure that that house can fit that slope and they're able to build it for you. And then I would also recommend just go ahead and talk with an architect so that all three of them together can make sure that that home will fit the land that you purchased, or at least be able to identify what they need to do, whether it's excavating or some sort of, fill in dirt, that they can make that house fit to that property. So you definitely don't want to just go ahead and buy land and then make the assumption that you could put a manufactured prefab home that you've seen online. Some counties don't even allow you to put that house on there. I've also seen others try to do log cabin kits. Those aren't allowed in some of our counties because it's a fire hazard. So if you're thinking, hey, I can get a really nice home pre-manufactured from another state brought here, it actually is very difficult to do.
So yeah, like Josh mentioned, timeline and planning are huge if you're looking to build it in the mountains. Your first step though, which should be, is reaching out to us. We can help you kind of coordinate this process, help you get your ducks in a row. And to be honest, about like 60%, 70% of people that start off looking to build actually flip and just buy something existing because all these elements already been thought of and in place. But we're happy to help you out in that discovery process. So give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and yeah, we'll get right back to you.
So if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell. We put videos up every week, something new, something exciting. And if there's something you specifically want to see us make, put it in the comments down below. We always read them, go through it, and we're excited to answer those questions that you may have.
Cool. Up top. Great job.